If you're waiting for someone to tell you you're an artist, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Angela Soffe. I'm a music producer and songwriter and composer. This channel is for anyone who has lost their spark or is just starting out. I help you break through self-doubt and guide your creative steps. So if you're a music artist and you're drowning in self-doubt or you're feeling like you've missed the boat or you don't feel comfortable calling yourself a songwriter or a singer or an artist or a painter, or whatever the creative thing is that you do, here's what I want to tell you. Most people think that identity comes after validation. So when someone sees me as X, then I'll believe it, right? When someone buys my painting from the gallery, then I'm an artist. Once people show up to the show, then I'm a singer, right? Like once I release this song on Spotify, then I'm an artist and a singer. And it's actually not true. The identity happens the other way around. We have to start internalizing long before anything comes out. We have to start seeing ourselves as the artists that we are before we even make the product. Because otherwise, we're going to be self-sabotaging and feeling like we don't deserve the titles, and we'll always be chasing the next level. Like, well, I'm not that great until there are 50 people in the audience, until there are 150, until there are 1,000. Like, when will you ever arrive? This is why we keep like moving the goalposts so that we can get somewhere, but it's like this invisible getting somewhere. So just decide now, I'm an artist. I get to create things that I like. I get to make stuff that matters to the world and to me and to like people that are in my life. So I want to share a little story with you. Years ago, when I had little kids, I had taken a long break from making music. And it was so long that there was like this sadness inside of me. I don't know if you can relate, but I was just this longing for a piece of me that used to exist. And I had to take a long break to deal with, family things. Anyway, I had made a friend in this new town, and she was a physician. And we met up at a pizza place with my kids, and we ran into someone that we knew. And this physician friend of mine knew that I wrote songs, right? That I liked to make music, that I was a musician. And so we meet this other person, and she was like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a mom, and, these are my kids." And my physician friend looked at me, and her mouth just like dropped open. And she said, yeah, and you also write songs and make music." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, like, I guess. Like, I used to do that. I'm not really good at it anymore. I don't really." And I totally downplayed it. And it was later that my friend talked to me about it. And she was like, "Look, how are you ever going to make headway? How are you ever going to progress if you don't put on that hat of, I'm an artist, I'm a musician, I'm a songwriter?" And this whole identity piece, like, would you ever come find someone like my physician friend? Would she ever just like, "Oh, I don't know, I have this like pediatric clinic, but like, oh, like, don't look it up. Oh, it's embarrassing." No, that kind of energy really sends people the wrong message. And it's not respectful to yourself and to the creativity that you have been given. And on this channel, we talk about this, like this gift that you have, and how it's not only like a gift, but it's our responsibility to produce the things that come through us. And I think that's the cool thing about owning your artistry. Ownership of what you've been given is like, it's a way of being grateful for what you have. It doesn't mean that we can't honor the quiet years, right? Like, there are going to be seasons in your life where you cannot be creating all the time, where you might be overwhelmed, you might be going through personal stuff, you might be in relationship trauma, right? Or health issues. We don't get to plan those things, but we can honor the breaks and be okay with taking breaks in our creativity, but also realizing that just because you took a break doesn't mean you're not an artist, right? Like, you're still the artist that you always were, just because you're coming back to it, maybe even decades later. So if that's you and you're coming back to your art years later, like, just know that that's okay. And you are allowed to call yourself an artist and have that commitment to yourself. So if this landed with you, I want you to try one thing this week, okay? When people ask you what you do, don't say, "Oh, I'm trying, I'm dabbling this with this. I'm testing out that." Don't do that. You say, "I'm a songwriter. I'm a painter. I'm a chef," right? Full stop. You don't need to explain. And if people want to know more, they will ask you more, right? But just try this on. I remember when I was training for a triathlon, I stood up in a meeting and I introduced myself as a triathlete, which is like kind of a stretch, right? Just because I was training for a triathlon doesn't mean I was like actually a medal winning triathlete, but I wanted that identity for myself. Does that make sense? Like I wanted my body, my whole self to feel what that feels like to be a triathlete, right? And that messaging, it's not just for the person out there, it's for you as well. So try that this week and then comment below like how did it go? What did people say? How did actually more importantly, how did you react and how do you feel about that? About that shift, about like what you said. So if this resonates with you, please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more awesome information. You are not behind, you are right on time, and I'll see you in the next video.